What's up, YouTube? So I connected with Ralph, aka Braincell. He's been making Psytrance for quite a while, and we had some interesting conversations, and I figured I would capture these conversations and, let you guys in on our ramblings. So we spoke about everything from modulars to favorite plugins to some Bitwig stuff to, how he does his live performances and all sorts of stuff like that. So I thought it might be interesting for you guys. Yeah, let's dive in and have a look.
And I think it's for everybody. It's like now it's time for explore and like doing some new ideas. And what I try in a moment also is pushing that online things and tutorials. But it's quite hard to get through. I mean, I look to your channel. How the fuck did you get so much followers?
I think the trick is consistency. So I basically just said every single Friday, post a video.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a completely in-depth, whether it's a hugely in-depth tutorial or whether it's just something simple. I find it's a strange one. I find, sometimes you don't realize how helpful the simple stuff can be. Mm-hmm. For example, we will do tutorials that are like super complex, FM synthesis. That's like stuff that even like when you discovered it was like mind blowing. But then the most popular tutorials I will make will be a saw wave with a sample and hold random on the pitch.
Yeah.
And those always with a high pass filter. Yeah. So sometimes I think, when approaching it from our side, from the educator side, we're always looking for something that's going to blow our minds. But sometimes just doing the simple stuff gets more views. And, having to, set aside like Friday, I'm going to post something. You kind of have to do simple stuff in between the more advanced stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I try, like strip back myself as well, like especially with this Patreon thing, because I open it like people can ask me and then I make a video of like special cases and whatever. And, then I started like a basic one for Bitwig now, and this gets much more attention, like the complicated stuff, So I think you're right. Like it's the basic things where the people are more reacting because they are learning still. They are still trying stuff out, and we do this for quite a while now. But all this work, like with the social media and pushing it and blah blah blah. And I tried, I'm really trying hard, but it's not the easiest part to get a name or get around, in our scene is fine, but I want to reach other people as well, not only from the Psytrance scene. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I think one thing I can tell you is that I've spent a lot of time pushing on Facebook and Instagram and, doing the promotion thing. And then I've also spent time absolutely not doing that. And I didn't see any difference in the numbers on my content. So I can safely say that as a content creator, as long as you're just putting in consistent stuff up on YouTube, you won't have to worry about posting it onto Facebook. Because most of the time when you post the YouTube link onto Facebook, the algorithm on Facebook is going to expect you to pay to promote that link so that your viewers are going to see it. Whereas YouTube works the opposite. If you've got a subscriber, it's going to show them your new content, and it's even going to show them your old content when that video is finished. And so it's going to keep.
It goes a bit faster with like showing all the stuff you have on YouTube.
So I would say concentrate more time on just making more videos and posting them rather than promoting the videos that you've already made, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a difficult one. Like, sometimes you have to think of something new and then it pushes you to like go and learn something and then, which is kind of cool, I guess.
I mean, I collecting so much articles and, like going through tips and tricks, which you know a lot of stuff from back in the days, but still you can't have everything in your mind. So I'm starting to collect, and if I find anything interesting, I'm trying out by myself. Like for example, I saw just one from Polarity where he used a random sample inside the sampler in Bitwig, and then he's creating melodies with it. And it was actually, I mean, it's a simple idea. You take a filter and take the resonance up, so you get like pitch tracking, and then you can use any texture sample in the background to create melodies. And like my workflow is completely different, but it was really nice to like, oh, that's interesting. Let's try this out. And now I'm thinking about actually making a whole package with abstract samples, but you can play them melodic wise, and it makes different sounds than the usual synthesizer stuff. Like finding new ways. And and I heard you have modulars as well.
Yes, yeah. I've been recently getting into that, and it's a whole nother rabbit hole. Even actually, like when you messaged me now, I said just give me 2 minutes because my whole desk. I just decided to pull everything out. I wanted to rearrange it. I'm sure you know the story.
Yeah.
My whole desk is full of power cables and stuff. So I was just like, okay, hold on, give me 2 minutes to just get things a little bit sorted here.
Yeah, it's a black hole. I mean, Nectarius dragged me into this one, and it was always a big dream. And then he was like, "Okay, come to my studio," and I entered this one like, "Oh shit." So that's the black hole where it started. But I'm super happy. It's like it's different. It changed actually the workflow, how I produce music now.
Absolutely, yeah, me too. I think for me, like being able to sit and discover things that I can then apply to Serum or I can do in the software, having it more hands-on kind of pushes you to try things, whereas with the mouse and the keyboard, you often end up doing, opening a preset or doing the same thing because the results are going to be good,
Yeah.
Whereas having the hands-on thing, I find I'm experimenting a lot more and then learning new things to use in tutorials and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a never-ending story. Yeah, and with this whole new situation, I really want to push that a bit further. But I don't want to go back to a normal job again. Like, I'm a gardener, so I could go for work, but the whole lifestyle changed so much over the last 20 years that it's, for me, going back to like a normal job, fuck, no. Well, I would fail, I guess, and I would be not happy again. I got a new, sometimes I get now sound design offers as well. And I have a friend, he's doing this CSI Miami background stuff.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, it's like, it's big business. And they offered me now for doing a theme for Matrix, for a new one.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
And it's like, whoa, that's huge, yeah. And I have to finish the demo till end of the week. But it's quite challenging. It's good because I'm not doing any trance in the moment. It's not much happening there. It's like a lot of chill out and then jam sessions and a little bit of live streaming here and there, but that's it. So I can concentrate on the other stuff, which is nice, like going into sound design a bit. And let's see what happens there. Catching every opportunity, basically.
Yeah. I think trying to design sounds for a very specific application, like for movie or for sound effects or something like that, is much more difficult than than you think it is when you first discover like sound and that kind of thing. When you're actually trying to synthesize like a gunshot or something like that, it can get crazy. Or lightning or thunder.
Did you see the rocket thing from Nectarius yesterday?
Yes, I didn't actually hear it. I saw him post it, but I haven't had a listen to it yet. But that made me think, having to synthesize something like that, where traditionally, you'd think, okay, Hollywood Edge sample pack, throw that in. But then when you push yourself to synthesize something like that, then who knows how you could use such a thing in a track or,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But I mean, the only setup was like, wow, that's a proper patch for that sound, actually. It needs a lot of cables for achieving this sweep sound from a rocket. But nicely done. I mean, that's why I like to watch his stuff as well. It's quite genius. It's very into and really deep already. It's nothing for beginners, but nice ideas, and always very inspiring what he's doing. Same to you guys. Like, you really cool videos actually.
Thank you.
I was going through some of them, and it's like, it's properly, made. It's not too much. It's not too complicated. It's easy to understand. I think that's what the people grabs. So, because there are a lot of other ones out there which it's too much for people. And I always when I get questions, then it's mostly about basic stuff.
Absolutely.
A bit of like, tell me the kick and bass thing, but that's why I was happy that Dron was actually doing a video. It's like, okay, now we have it done. It's like, it's one video is finished, and it's all done in Serum. Everybody can copy it.
Yeah, but that's another one, man, is like repeating, don't be afraid to repeat the same video, but like do it better. Because I mean, even on my channel, I think I've done 20 videos on how to make Cytron space. And then last week I posted another one, and it's got more views already than all the other ones. So
nice.
I think like the way that it works is people, if they're following you, they like to see you progress as an artist as well as learn for themselves, So I think that does help, So
because I
always
was
do like updated things, like or for example, if you did a sound previously and now you think, okay, well, I could actually do it better. Don't be afraid to say, like, my previous one sucked. Check this one out, And
it's good to know, because there was always a bit afraid, like, oh, did I post it already, like something like this, or so it's not a problem if it's repeating and like showing different ways of how you achieve different goals,
Yeah, not at all. And I think also another thing which I could say would be like one of my big numbers is just doing Serum tutorials, because I find on my channel the Cubase stuff isn't popular because everyone's using Ableton. I guess with something like Bitwig, because it's quite a niche thing, a lot of people are searching how to use Bitwig. So the 1 or 2 videos that I have done on it were actually pretty popular, considering how unpopular my Cubase stuff was. But I think staying away from the DAW-based things and just concentrating on plugins which are popular, like Pigment, Serum.
I tried to, I converted a lot of people into this Bitwig thing, and it's really interesting. But also, it's a niche thing, and the main program, I guess, in that thing is Ableton. And there's so much on that, so I don't have to post anything on Ableton anymore. They have everything sorted. So I think it's better to use plugins and show something like also that Serum package I made some time ago. This worked really nicely. I was not expecting that, and then I did something for Diva and other synths. Nearly no response.
Serum is the one I found, like, it gets me the numbers in my sound banks and stuff like that. Whenever I do tutorials and stuff, it's like 10 times the amount of people have Serum than I think any of the other ones.
Yeah.
But I think it's due in part to the fact that there was already so much content out there. Like guys like, I don't know if you know Seamless. He used to do Fruity Loops tutorials back in the day. Guys like that were posting Serum videos for a very long time. So lots of people kind of just always had it.
Yeah. It is a good one. I mean, it's fun to use, and if I'm on the go, it's Serum. It's easy to work with.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best just because it's the quickest. I mean, I've heard better filters and all sorts, but just because it's like everything in one, you can make really good sounds with it. So I don't mind. What's the word? I don't mind sacrificing like filter quality for versatility.
No, and it's also a nice company. I mean, I had the chance one time to meet Steve once, and such a lovely guy, and it's nice to support nice people from the scene. Same as Bitwig. That's why I'm pushing them, because I know them from the Ableton days. And then the big boss, he was, when they moved out of Ableton, he asked me for like, hey, you up for testing a new program? Like, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he sent me that over, and I get to know all the programmers, and it's a super nice small family and lovely people all around. I mean, I had a good connection to Ableton as well because I worked for the distribution in Switzerland, and I'm really surprised. I mean, I have 15 people building that program. That's awesome work, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a very short time, and they're coming up. Everything they implemented into the program is like, wow, it's not all new, but it's just a nice way of making music, and it's such a nice workflow.
It's definitely one of the fastest expanding DAWs on the market, I would think. Considering how long it's been around, it's on par with some of the top, you know, in fact, some of the top ones are now playing catch up with some of the things that they're introducing. So it's very interesting to see.
It was a bit funny to see with Logic.
That was very unexpected. I'm kind of now waiting for Cubase to do some big thing like this with the clip launch. I actually don't think Cubase will ever go down that route. No. Maybe some separate program, but I think they've got the scoring and film score guys down.
Yeah, and they had something like this with this, not with clips, but they was doing this. It was a complete failure. This mashup thing, where you could load in some loops, I guess, and then it transforms stuff. And
loop mash.
I think so. I never got into it.
Yeah, loop mash was weird, but there's a thing called loop mash effects, which is actually very nice. It's like just the effects bundle from loop mash, and I actually use it quite a bit. It's got like an instant re-trigger effect, like a tape stop effect, and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's just built into Cubase, so it's nice, like for a break or something, to just do like a tape stop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so simple. You can get so many plugins that do that, but you can get it like you can kind of set it on the beat. You know, I don't know if you remember Deep Blue Glitch, like that. It's pretty much like that, but with built-in Cubase effects. So I use it quite a lot.
I mean, I would love to have still Cubase, but I was too young and I needed the money, so I sold it. And now, actually, you know, I make some one-to-one workshops here in Switzerland as well, and I have some customers now with Cubase. And it's really hard for me because the last version I saw and I worked with was version 5.5, you know?
Yeah, a lot has changed since then. It's like a whole new system now.
Yeah. And if I sit in front of the new one now, it's like, ooh, okay, there's a lot of different things inside. But they always went into a nice direction. I just didn't catch me with the workflow after a while. And then we moved to Mac, and at that time there was big troubles with Cubase, and we changed to Logic, and then later Ableton, and now Bitwig. And it's fun, I think, with working with everything together and using bits of here, bits here, bits here. Why not? You know, Ujju does as well. Like, if he's happy with ES2 synthesizers, or you work with Logic, or you jump into Ableton for some glitching up or whatever.
Yeah, that's something I found about Cubase, is like the hands-on, like non-linear jamming always fell flat. That's why I've kind of really enjoyed Bitwig, because I think that's where it really stands out. I think it's a lot more sort of real-time jam-friendly than something like Ableton, which I've always found is a little bit of a barrier, especially with hardware gear and timing, like clock syncing and that kind of thing. Whereas they've kind of just Bitwig managed to do everything so intuitively. I mean, literally the first time I opened Bitwig Studio 3, I managed to get 4 pieces of hardware gear all clock synced. And it's like, what the hell? I've never had that in my life before, you know. Usually I'll do one piece of gear, record a thing in, unplug it, do another one, record it in. You know, that was my workflow. But now I could have 4 pieces of gear all running, you know.
Yeah, same to me. Like, it's always like one synthesizer at a time. But now I changed to after multi-clock.
Oh, the ERM.
The ERM. And then one is going to the Eurorack, and then Virus, and to the Sub 37.
Tell me, have you compared the clock jitter on that to regular clock MIDI? Because I've only noticed now that I've got a hardware oscillator oscillator can sync.
Yeah.
Now I've noticed, okay, my saw bass sounds good, but there's like an ever so slight amount of jitter from my computer's MIDI clock. Does the ERM still have that?
No.
Is it 100% solid as a rock?
It's absolutely. It was a game changer, I have to say. I mean, I didn't trust it in the beginning. It's like, okay, another clock.
Well, that's the thing. I don't trust it until I hear somebody who knows about Cytron's bass lines and the struggle of getting that stable. Hearing it from them, you know.
I was like, wow! I connected it, and like, oh, why I didn't do this before? You know, it was really also, I mean, I'm not using the software from Virus, for example, because I always had trouble with the software.
Yeah.
Since this multi-clock running now, everything is so fucking tight, and I can play for 2 hours in a row, and just record, decide, do my loops, and use that jam session later for doing the whole arrangement. And this is much, much more fun now. And the only thing which I changed back to a USB MIDI connection is the Digitakt, because the new software is amazing.
Yes, with the overbridge.
I will do a video, but it's so tight. And I made a jam session out in the garden, and for a small live stream, and it was no sync problems at all. You know, even I got my iPad synced up with a synthesizer and a sequencer running, and it was perfectly though. Really highly recommended. If you have the chance to test one, do it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've been looking at it because I've been having some problems, and I only started picking it up now.
I mean, it's not the cheapest hardware for a clock, you know.
But it's seemingly the only thing that can do what it can do. So.
And also, what's nice that you can shift the timing around. You don't have to go into the settings and change something there. You can do it on the hardware. And I clock my Pamela's workout with it, because Pam can be a bit tricky with clocks, you know, but the ARTIOM is super stable, clocks it, and from there it goes to all the other sequences. So no troubles in there. I still have the yarns, but not using it much, because same as you, if I connect it with via normal MIDI connection to the computer, you get this jitter stuff happening. And you never get this 100% right. You know, it's like, it's always a bit. That's the thing with like working with computers. You know, it's not made for that, and you have so much information coming out and in. And if there's MIDI information, okay, that's not so important. So it comes later. So then you get this jitter stuff, and I'm happy that I changed to this setup now. The only thing I have to change is I want the RUMI again, because I got a Mode 2 ultralight because I traveled for a year with the family like 2 years ago, and we went Australia, New Zealand, and everywhere, and I needed kind of a small setup, and that's why I used the ultralight. But sound quality wise and driver wise, it's a shit sound card. I would never go on stage with that. I mean, I worked with RME all the time, the baby face and baby. Like,
well, I suppose if you know the RME, then anything is a downgrade, I guess, except the top stuff.
Yeah, just money wise, I need to save a bit for the 802, and then I will get this one again. Then I'm done, or for a short period of time
until the next big module comes out.
That's the thing, yeah. And what was you working on? You told me something about you want to do something for live setups with Bitwig.
Yeah, so I was thinking of like doing a couple of videos talking about like different ways of setting up live sets. You know, you've obviously got like the ideal multi-track setup, but I mean, I don't know many people who do that route. I was interested in asking, for you, how do you usually go about it? I think it was in the Unite video, you had the Morph controller, Was that like, did you have like separate layers, or were you just layering a couple of synths over completed tracks? How do you usually go about doing?
On that setup, it was the morph was controlling halfway was controlling clips and MIDI clips from synths, and then the last 8 ones there was for turning on effects and changing different effect chains, and the push was just there that I could use some of the macros that I can control via the knobs. So it was not a big setup there, but what I usually do in bigger setups, if I can go on stage with the Eurorack, like for example Ozora or something, then I try to kind of split up the kick and bass stuff and have separate clips for different layers, like some synth parts, the effect parts, so I can morph a bit more. I still have a structure in the background, which is making everything safe, but it's then it's more like a jam session. Then I can use a melody from one track and play it on top on the other track and stuff like this, you know. And on the Eurorack, I have then 5 voices which come in via the ES8 and the analog inputs from the Babyface. And then it's usually enough for creating like a lot of textures on top. And it without sounding, you know, the typical live set where there's no live and you just put some squeaks on top. This you can hear, but I try to fit in the sounds that it's in the track, and you have to mix it on the fly a bit. But that's a challenge, and also it makes fun on stage to do this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I've kind of been looking to kind of build in Bitwig, where previously I'd always just DJ'd my tracks in Traktor, and then I'd have a synth that I would just play some sounds over the top, you know, clock it and play an ARP or something like that. Yeah. But I always found that looping sections and elongating a track was always so much harder, because you'd have the synths then looping along with it, and you couldn't just do these sort of endless variations when you see the crowd is like enjoying it. So I think, you know, working towards a thing where I can do a couple of tutorials showing like how I go about creating this live set that can then inspire other people to do the same, and I think just create like more of a immersive live experience.
It's a good time for showing this also, because people more and more want to have something on stage to do, and you know, not only laptop DJs where there's actually not much happening. And I also know it from the workshops I do, that people always ask me, hey, how you present this on stage and what you can do with this. And there are so much different ways, you know, like for example, when I played with the Novelty Engine, so it was Ujju and OTT and Dixter, and the drummer was the guy from an old record from Massive Attack. What I did there is actually, they all played and I looped them on different channels. So I was doing like 8 bar loops and 16 bar loops, and then combine them on stage to create a texture underneath, and then I can jam on top. And this was like, it was completely random. We didn't know what we're playing for 1.5 hours. And it worked out really nicely. And this kind of stuff, I think I want to implement to my live set as well, that you can jam, you record some stuff, and then use that for a while, and then go into the next sequence and like trying stuff out like this. It's just a tricky setup, because Bitwig has some restrictions there with automatic looping and automatic recording to the next scene. It's getting better now, but at that time when we was doing it, it was not possible to do. So we had to write our own script, or somebody from Bitwig did this, so we could trigger stuff from the Launchpad, and instantly triggering was also recording, and it was a pretty awesome setup, and also really good to see other people on stage, how they work, like Dixter, for example, and what he's doing with the stem mixing is quite nice, actually. He can do like a super spontaneous set with just a bunch of loops. And
well, that's the idea, get into something where I can myself stream the same or perform the same song over and over again, but I'm not bored with it and the viewers aren't bored with it, So I can do multiple performances. And I think now, I don't think there's going to be festivals for a little while. And I think being at home, we've got access to all the equipment, not just a small synth that we want to take with to the gig. So it'll be fun to see what comes of it.
Yeah. I mean, I also changed my chill setup. There I want to go more live even, so I only trigger some sounds from the laptop. And the other stuff is Virus, the IntelliJ case, and the Digitech. That's it.
I'm trying to get completely away. So for me, I'm trying to get to a point where just the Psytrance project is stuff that's pre-done. And then I do a bit of chill out that's just straight in the Euro rack. Yeah. I'm trying to get there, but it's a little bit simple. But I find if you just practice, you can get it a little bit more. You can get it to sound full. And you might not need a beat and a thing. Because the music itself is a little bit more immersive,
Yeah, what I'm still struggling with the Eurorack is, you have some melodies in mind and you want to kind of program that one and then changing from this to there. This stuff is still I'm trying to figure out. I think the case is still too small, but...
Have you played with the Ornaments and Crime?
Yeah, it's on the list.
One thing that's very cool about that is it's got the sequencer built in, and you can program a sequence, then copy it to another slot, then send that CV to another oscillator, listen to it, edit it, and then switch to that one for your main oscillator. So you can kind of audition things because you can copy and paste these sequences to the blocks. Yeah, it's very clever like that.
Something like this I would need. In the moment I have the Mimetic Digitalis for this, and we have 4 outs, and it's all nice, but it's a bit hard to switch around sequences, and I have to randomly transform it on the fly.
Yeah, the nice thing also about the Ornaments and Crime is it's got the quantizer in, so the sequencer you can just change to a different scale if you need to, and then the sequence now fits into a new track or something like that.
So I have to definitely Ornament and Crime it's one on the top on the list, but it's the money thing in the moment. And I'm the only guy who is still bringing the money home, and with 2 kids, and my wife is in school in the moment. She's doing this kind of kinesiology stuff, which is really interesting, but there's no income, and especially now with these crazy times, it's tough. Not much money left for buying modules or building my own modules. But hopefully I get there. Hopefully soon. But we can, you record it now. But if you have anything specific things in mind you want to show, then we can easily create something. Or if you need any help with ideas for Bitwig, what you want to show.
Yeah, I think what I have in mind is probably I've got a good idea in mind, but I'll probably just need to ask a couple of questions as I'm doing or as I'm planning the video and stuff. There was a couple of things I wanted to ask about how you would set it up though. Would you pre-master your stem files, or would you have a limiter or something in the project?
I would go for the limiter.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's getting really complicated if you do this and with the stems, and it's a lot of work.
True, yeah.
And I think you can get it on stage to a proper volume if you work with limiters and trying to do it like this, because it's a live set. So it's a bit more dynamic than...
It's going to have the immersiveness and dynamics, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's easier to get around with some kind of a limiter to push the levels instead of, because I'm not a big fan of the stem mastering anyway. Like it was getting a super big hype, but I always thought like, okay, why you would do this? Why you should give somebody else stem mixes from your own track? He has a different idea and mixing it completely different, so it's not your track anymore. I recently had it with the guys from Outsiders. They asked me for doing a remix, and then I did all this stuff. I did my mix, send it over, and he was like, oh, okay, give me all the stems. So what's the point?
It's not your track then anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to like that. It sounds like Outsiders. It's a remix, so it should be the same texture and structure, and that's why I'm not a big fan of this. But I just bounce stuff out from the arrangement, used that once, push them through limiters, and then trying to mix it on the fly and try to combine channels which are mostly on the same level, so you don't have to change much. And did you do this before? So you tried out with them?
Yes, I did one set where but I didn't actually stem master them. I had a limiter on the actual channel.
And it worked?
I found that it didn't quite have the same amount of like punch as a actual master, but like you said, the overall set had a lot more dynamics. It was a lot more immersive than just me DJing master tracks. So I think I preferred the experience, and my viewers preferred the experience. So I think I'm going to carry on just leaving them unmastered and putting a limiter and maybe a maximizer on the actual in the project rather than doing it on the stems.
I think it's the easiest way, and then you can.
Because then you're also leaving headroom for other instruments if you want to mix them in and stuff.
Which you need anyway if you have hardware on the stage, and there can be stuff coming quite intense from the volume. What I'm still trying to find out if I want to get a hardware limiter before I go to the main sound system instead of using a plugin, but I don't know which one in the moment, and it's another equipment you have to take, and nowadays there's so much equipment out there, you don't need much space anymore for traveling, and I don't want to come back to this. It would be nice to have good stuff on stage, but you also have to travel light. That's why I bought the IntelliJ case, and it's just the right size and it's easy to travel with it. But if I would take now another limiter and another controller and this, then it's a bit too much. Depends on the gig also.
Yeah.
For Zora or Boom, I would probably do it.
I found I've got this hex inverter mutant hot glue mixer, and it's got a compressor on the output channel, but it's got infinite ratio, so you can set it all the way to the top and just limit any signals coming out of the Euro rack. So I find it's pretty helpful to just set it just below 0, because sometimes when you're playing with the volumes, you might just sweep something up a little bit loud, and just having it set everything nothing's going beyond that point just helps a little bit, especially in the hardware realm, because then it doesn't clip on the way into the computer.
Yes. So you have that hex inverter mixer then for doing this, and that the limiter is built in there.
Yeah, well, it's a compressor, so you can use it with a sidechain input for kick bass compression. But if I'm doing a live set, I'll just use it on the master output and just set the ratio to infinite. So it's basically in limit mode.
How big is it?
It's pretty big. It's about 20. Wait, let me see exactly for you. But it's got a distortion in it as well, which is quite nice. So you can route something to the distortion and then out again, like saw wave distortion and then a filter, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So it's a nice little extra thing. 24 HP.
That's pretty big, but it's possible.
It's pretty big, and it's got send returns as well, which is pretty cool. So I use that to send effects like reverbs, delays, and that kind of stuff. So that's like my main performance thing, is that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be also good to have it in the case and not as a separate output, because also the effects, I want to reduce some of them. I still have the Milky Way, which is really good, but I want to throw out the Pico. It's not the best for live sets. I mean, you have instant effects, but you can't time them. And to fiddle around on stage with like small knobs is not my favorite.
Yeah.
The Milky Way is a bit better, and it has a compressor inside, but I tried it with limiting there. It destroys the sound. It sounds a bit too harsh. So I think the hex inverter is a good idea to look around. Yeah, too much possibilities. And
Yeah,
also,
it's endless. Hey?
what I wanted to ask you, what kind of camera you use?
It's the Logitech C920. No, C922.
Really?
Yeah.
C922. And is this like a wide angle thing, or you can? Because what I have the I don't know, it's 940, I think. And the problem I had, I was showing the modular, and it was always autofocusing. Like it changed always the focus. As soon as I put my hand in, then it focused on my hand, and then like people was like not complaining, but it's like, dude, the quality of the video is not the best.
Well, I think mine will autofocus as well. It's just that you can turn it on and off to do the autofocusing.
But if I switch that off, then it's terrible.
Then it's very bad.
Yeah, I can't get the right resolution then.
But this one was really highly rated. Like I did search YouTube, like the best webcam. And
can you say again, what is the
C922?
22. Okay. It's also about $100, no, $200.
It's in South Africa. Our currency in South Africa is completely fucked. So I don't know what $100 means. It's probably like to me, I think it was like 1,500 rand, which is probably about $100. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But they all said that it's the best for the money. But the trick with this was like getting lighting. So check this out. So now it's really bad footage. But the trick is to have two lights in the front. And that makes it a much better.
That's the way. So I need lights up there then, which goes in front of the. Okay, good.
And then I've got another one up there. I've got another one there, but it's actually blown at the moment. But you don't really need it's good to just have like one at the back and two at the front. And they're actually like those cheap Chinese lanterns.
Oh, perfect.
I got them at the China shop. It was like $1 each or something.
I think my wife still have two of them. So we grab them later. Now it's good to know all that things. It helps a lot. Thanks for this.
Yeah, no, even the lighting, you can get good shots even with like a camera phone, that kind of thing. But the autofocus thing, it messed with my head for a while. So the trick was like you get the lighting and the shot perfect, and then you turn the autofocus off.
Okay. So that's the trick.
So like you set everything up, get the shadows like perfect, no light, no shadows from where you set the lights and stuff. Then you turn autofocus off and start filming the thing.
And okay. Yeah, because I think I want to dig in and like showing some different patches as well. And I don't want to dig as deep as Nectarius. It's more for the basic stuff, but there's not so much. I mean, there are basic ideas, but not in our genre. So it would be nice to show a bit of plates and clouds and rings and all this.
But I think it's cool to see how other people use modules. A lot of the time, one thing that I kind of took for granted is Nectarius actually told me on a post that I made yesterday where I did a Sidetrance kick and bass using Euclidean circles. The positive hit was the kick and the negative was the bass. So you can just like add a hit and it subtracts the bass. I thought everyone's doing this, like logically. I just thought this is how you make a Sidetrance bass in Eurorack, because everyone in Sidetrance I seem to see has the Euclidean rhythms. I just assumed that's how everyone's doing it. And then the people are like, no, that's genius. That's genius. But I thought everyone's doing it this way. This is, like, I saw but just seeing somebody else do it can spark like all these, things.
Yeah. I had it
you might never thought of.
Called Cosinus, and I showed something in the clouds where you can do like rhythmic glitching. And he was like, damn it, I was shocked before selling this thing. It's like, not anymore. And now he's doing everything with the clouds. And it's good to know, like, getting inspirations for, because there are so much ways, especially in that Eurorack thing. And it's always inspiring. Like, Colin Benders looking is always big. Richard Devine is a bit too much for me. I mean, he's genius, but you can't follow the patches.
Yeah. And I think, like guys like that, it's when, say for example, when I wasn't in Eurorack yet, when I looked at Colin Benders and his system, it was always very overwhelming. I thought I can never get to that point to make music that good. It's never going to happen. So I never bothered to get into Eurorack. But then I started to see guys like Milo Melodies who have like a little two-rack system, and he's killing it.
He's awesome.
And so then I was like, wait, maybe I can do this, Maybe it is the thing for me. So seeing people do things with smaller systems and, more simple, just sound design type stuff in any aspect, I guess it's cool. So
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
keen to see it. I think I did. I think I saw you posted a video about clouds, but I haven't actually checked it yet.
Yeah, it's just that's a small introduction one, and then I do something with some, I got the soft pop from Bastel.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've been looking at that.
That's really, really cool. I can't say what it is. I mean, it's kind of a synthesizer, but you can also use it as a like a distortion unit, so you get really nasty sounds out of it. And it's called soft pop because a specific setting, it sounds like water bubbles. And I put that one into clouds and then glitched them up. And I think that's in the video as well. Which is, it's very interesting what you can get out of these little machines. And, especially nowadays with all this do-it-yourself synths and this small companies doing crazy stuff. There's so much interesting things out there. Not like the typical sawtooth, square wave, whatever, And also the ideas. I mean, I had a chance to go to the Basque company once, and such lovely guys. I mean, all freaks. I went in there, sitting there, smoking spliffs. Like, is this? Yeah, you're right. It's Basque company. and a table tennis inside a bar. And the first thing he said, like, okay, we start at the bar. And then from there, I show you the whole company. Is that fine? He's like, yeah, sure. Okay. So we hanged up there the whole evening. And I met the guy who actually built Soft Pop. It's this American guy. And he's very into this circuit banded stuff. And crazy what he was showing. And, like the spec information you get from these guys.
Is that Casper Electronics?
Yeah.
I've seen some of his videos,
He's actually really nice. And
he did one about a sequencer using a chip, and then I tried to follow it. I bought the thing and made an absolute mess of it. And I was like, okay, this is not for me. It's not for me.
I had to, on one point, I was like, can you stop talking? That's too much for me.
Yeah. I mean, I bought some DIY kits. I built a Bastille skis VCA envelopes. That was pretty easy. But building the stuff from scratch, it's too much for me. I couldn't get anything.
Not from scratch. I did a compass from Bastel. I built that one. And
their stuff's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's really easy. And I have to say, for the size of the module, what it can do, I don't have to the Euclidean circles, but that's a good thing if you need something like this in a small package.
Well, that's the thing is my Euclidean circles. It was a DIY kit that I built, but it was too hard, so I've fucked it up. I don't know if you've seen my videos, but only half of mine is working.
Okay.
The other half doesn't have lights on it, so
The light thing, I fucked up a bit on the compass as well. I have to say, but it works.
Yeah. It's got character now.
Yeah, and then now I just build or try to build a mixer, and I completely blew it. And it was actually an easy kit, but then I turned one small, what's it called? I don't know.
Oh, the transistor.
Yeah, and I turned that on the wrong way. And it was like, shit. But at least I had a friend. I showed him the picture, and he's like, "Oh, damn it! I still have plenty of them. Come on over." And he helps me always. If I crash something, I can still go to this guy. And I have this the guy who built me the micro braids. He's German. He's like 1 hour from here. Very highly recommended. If you need anything, build it. He's a good guy, and you can even send him a sheams like saying, "I want to have this and this, but change." Or you have different ideas from modules. You can just send him, and he builds it.
Oh wow!
And, yeah, he's very, very. I sent you the link. He's called Sascha von Ott.
Oh yes, I think I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he built some nice, like mostly all the mutable instruments things in small and very good price.
I've actually got a friend who's lives about an hour away from here as well. He's building me a few mutable stuff, a clouds and a Platts that he's actually sent me. I should be getting it today or tomorrow. So that's cool. I'm very, very keen on that.
Yeah, that's super nice for live sets because you have instant fun and instant different sounds in 2 patch cables.
Yeah, I like the fact you can switch between kick, snare, hi-hat. Like, for me, have a kick drum on like the Basilius or even just a filter kick drum, and then all the rest of the stuff, just switch between those modes. Techno, instantly done.
Yeah, maybe I should stop with the psytrance and do some techno.
I find it's really fun to just zone out on for ages and make sounds. When listening to it, I don't find as much fun listening to other people's techno, if that makes sense. But I have a lot more fun now just making techno off the cuff with the modular. Yeah. I find psytrance is a little bit too complex. That to just sit and make a whole psytrance song on a modular synth is a little bit.
It's overwhelming because there's so much layers and stuff which you can't combine all. And like you need U tracks if you're not static, But even him, I mean, even his setup is not 100% all Eurorack. Yes,
there's a couple of other things there. There's what's the EMS Synthy I've seen in a video. There's that other weird 500 series thing.
Yeah, and hardware samplers as well, like old archives and stuff like this. And it's quite interesting. He's an awesome guy. I met him a bit more in January when I was in Goa. And this was the first time we actually sat together and really speak about, music production and all this. And he got me such a nice feedback because normally he's not telling other people, "Hey, I like your project." And he came up and said like, "Hey, your chill out stuff is actually really chill out and I love it." It's like, whoa, thanks. I was not expecting to get that feedback from that guy. And he's a character, definitely.
I can imagine.
I would love to go to his studio once.
If when you're like sitting down to produce a track, do you have like specific like ways of finding inspiration, like steps to go through? Like, do you just dive straight into the kick and bass, or do you think, okay, now it's time I need to make a soundscape first, or what's like the first step that you take when it's like, okay, it's production time?
It happens both ways, actually. Like sometimes I have some, maybe a melody or a sound in mind which I can try to achieve first, and then building the kick and bass around it after. Or I just, like a lot of people do, I guess, with like playing in a loop, jamming on top, let's see where it goes. I mean, it depends a bit. Like if I don't have any idea, I just play around with random stuff, and then let's see what comes out of this. And then trying to record some, making variations out of this, and then building on that some recordings. And I'm trying to record not too much in the beginning, otherwise it's too overwhelming, or it's hard to get the right sounds together. So I'm just focusing on some and then building something up with this. That's how I do it normally.
And do you have like particularly like favorite plugins, obviously other than like what is in the DAW? Like favorite plugins that you use every day, or favorite pieces of hardware that's like your signature?
What I use a lot
thing.
is the Diva from UIG, mostly for melodies. Also chill out or psytrance, doesn't matter. I use that one a lot because I like the sound of this one, and it sounds kind of analog, or like a little bit more warmer than the other ones. And then for sure Serum is a nice synth to go. And but I'm trying more and more, especially with that setup now. I'm trying to use more hardware again, and I just recently got the Sub 37, which I'm diving into, and it's quite awesome what you can get out of it. So
yeah, it's great. I've got the old version, the Little Fatty. It's even before the Sub Fatty. Yeah.
I had the Little Fatty for a while, which is a really nice one and fat sounding, but I always had the trouble to get it into the mix, right? Like it was always too massive.
Yeah, it's big. Good for techno, but it doesn't really work for me for psytrance. And it's. I actually think I'm going to sell it and maybe get the Sub or.
The Sub, I was quite surprised because with this duo phonic things, you can do a lot of interesting things, and also like the modulation inside that synth is much more complex than in the Little Fatty.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have actually a whole modular system inside there, and you can use the sequencer for doing completely other stuff. And I dived in now, and it's like wow. And if I can use hardware, sure I use it, because it's just I need to touch a knob or tweak something, and it's not the same for me anymore using a software and then doing everything with the mouse or a little bit of automation here. I need the feeling from touching something, and you get goosebumps when you turn the cutoff or something like this. So I'm trying to do it. And then Virus, for sure, that's one of the still one of, not a favorite anymore, but you can get good sounds easily. It's like this bed and brother synth. And software wise, I have some effects I use a lot. One is called Echo Boat from Sonic Charge. For I like effects where you can
Sonic Charge Echo Boat, you said?
Yes.
I'm gonna write that down.
Check out the other stuff they have as well. There's one called, I also have a video about that, called Permute 8.
Permutate.
Yes. This is kind of a microcomputer thing which samples stuff, and then you can glitch it around and check it out. This is really
shit, that sounds really good. I remember the old drum sequencer, the Microtonic. I used to have a lot of fun with that back in the day, but I kind of forgot about that after a long time.
I recently got back to it because I got, where is it? Don't have it here now, but I got this little drum computer from Teenage Engineering, this PO, and there was one version which works with the Microtonic. So you can do your stuff on Microtonic and then transfer it on the little one.
No way. That's crazy.
And this one syncs up via audio stream. So if you have a kick drum going into that small drum computer, it's perfectly synced up.
What? So that's crazy.
I used that one already on some gigs, and it's really fun to use, and the sound is perfect because you can reprogram everything on the Microtonic, and you can even morph through programs and stuff like this. So.
That's crazy.
You have to check this out.
That's very advanced. I always thought the pocket things were a little bit basic, but I didn't know that they had such.
No, they are really flexible actually. And I mean, the new one is funny with the Rick and Morty. I didn't bought it, but and I like the idea what they have. They have,
You don't see much videos on people like showing proper capabilities of these kinds of things. Hey? It's mostly just here's the filter sweep, beep, beep, there we go.
Yeah.
You don't see people using the stuff.
I saw in that one shop I was normally going for getting my modular stuff. They are more into this, teenage engineering and all these other companies. And there I saw a setup with like 5 of the POs, and it was actually awesome what he made, like 2-3 tracks on the fly with this one. So like, whoa. So it doesn't matter if it's big or small. It sounded good as well.
Amazing.
And so this Sonic Church stuff I really like. And then what I use a lot, more and more the Bitwig stuff, I have to say, because all the effects in Bitwig most of them are really basic. But if you combine them and making chains out of it, then it gets really complex. And what I really like, for example, you have a reverb, and then you can affect only the reverb tail with another effect. And this is stuff which makes it really interesting to find new ways of making sound. And I don't need much other, VST plugins anymore. And that's what I like.
That whole internal effects thing in Bitwig it's amazing. I don't think any other DAW has quite thought of having something like that pre-baked in. And I think that is one of the huge calling cards about hardware, or something like Reason, for example, where you could just route the stuff, or Modular, where you have this free routing capabilities. And I think only now other developers are starting to like play catch up with these things that they introduced already. So I think it's really cool to see that kind of things. And even just like the reverb itself sounds amazing. You don't often get a standard reverb that sounds that good.
The all standard ones are really, really nicely done, and more people catching up now and doing presets and chains for it. So it's getting quite interesting. Let's see what comes next. I mean, the last update they introduced a new library called something with color, space, and time. And there are stuff from Headflux and OTT and the other guys. And it's really good to get new inspiration out of this. And I try to stay more and more in that environment. I was also underrated with they have a synth called Polysynth. And I thought, okay, it's a nice basic synthesizer, but if you dig a bit into, you can get crazy sounds out of it, which I was not expecting. So and that's what I want to do in the future anymore, like stay in the environment and not using hundreds of plugins and have an overload on your hard drive, because there are really good plugins out there, but the most I use this Echo Board. Soundhouse, that's also one which I can't get rid of.
No, of course not.
That's I love all of them. And what I use a lot is the decapitator for pushing some lead sounds or, different distortions, which I really like there. And the Echo Board is one of my favorite delays. But that's basically it. It's not so much, actually.
I'll check out that Echo Board. I like delays. I use them a lot, like with everything. It's a very big part of my sound design.
If you know the OP1, that small little thing, and there's a effect built in which looks like a cow.
Oh, yes.
Echo Board is actually this.
Oh,
because the guy who made it is the guy from Echo Board, and he kind of transformed that effect into a plugin. And it's a mixture of ring shifting and delays, and you have LFOs where you can modulate stuff, and it's very easy to make crazy sounds out of anything, actually. And I used it a lot.
We definitely have to mention the fact that you have a channel too, and let my viewers know that they can go check out your videos, because I've actually been getting a lot of questions, people asking me to do production-oriented stuff in Bitwig. And I've kind of been holding off on doing that because I want to do more the live oriented stuff. But also, I know that there are already a few people doing really good Bitwig production stuff, like yourself and like Polarity as well. So I don't think I can do tutorials. I don't want to have to learn everything and then still, do that kind of thing. So I think my viewers, if they are keen on getting those Bitwig tutorials, should definitely go check your channel out. Have you seen Node?
No. What is that?
Oh shit! It's amazing. It's like a wavetable generator, so you can make wavetables in it. But the cool thing about it is it's nodal based, so it's not like you don't have to do every snapshot. You kind of draw a shape and you draw another shape, and it morphs the nodes rather than crossfading, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So like it actually takes the points of your waveform. So if you do like a PWM square and a saw, it'll actually take a point of the waveform and move it rather than crossfading between them, if that makes sense. So then you can just export that, throw it in Serum, and you've got a wavetable.
Wow. And from which company is that?
Sonic Academy.
Also.
Yeah. So what I've been using it for is basically making like a weird complex FM sound in the Eurorack, just recording it in, mapping the nodes in 2 frames, and then getting it to process that. And then you've got this really like crazy complex FM tone, but it's tracks stable across the pitch, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's cool. That's because I searched for something similar like this, so that could be quite funny to work with.
Yeah, I think they only came out with it last month or so. And the cool thing is you can load it as a VST in the DAW. So you can like record a thing in, drag the file in there. It's really cool workflow. You should definitely check it out.
Oh, then I have to do something today.
I literally, I saw it and I saw the a review of it, and I was like, just buy instantly. I didn't even download the demo. I was just, buy. I need that.
Okay, that sounds good. Because
it's really cool.
Then you can actually, that's what I wanted to do anyway, like doing some recordings of the modular waveforms.
Yeah.
And using it in software. This would be funny.
And the cool thing is because you're not crossfading from one frame to another, you don't have to worry about whether they're completely phase aligned to get something that doesn't just sound like noise, if that makes sense. You just map where those points in the waveform are, and it just shifts them.
And it shifts them around.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but when you see it, you'll be like, okay, that's what he's talking about.
Check this out, definitely. No, then, let's stay in touch, and all the best.
Yeah, cool. That was awesome. Stay safe, and I'll let you know if I need any assistance with that Bitwig stuff, and we can maybe chat again.
Just let me know. I'm here.
Cool. Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to go check out Ralph's channel. I'm going to post a link in the description where you can check that out. Yeah. See you guys next time.